Hey guys, today's video is going to be a follow-up on the cable extension video. This one's actually going to be more on making like adapters than it is extensions. It will extend the length of the cables, but it's more or less to upgrade your system. If you have like an older power supply, a lot of the lower wattage power supplies only have a single 6-pin connector for your video card, and a lot of the new ones require two 6-pins to power your video card. And we're also going to make a Molex to 4-pin to run your CPU power on the motherboard. These are both handy in the case that maybe your newer power supply had went out and you had to use your old one again and it didn't have a PCI Express connector, or possibly doesn't have the 4-pin connector to run to the motherboard. Or if you have a power supply that maybe only has one 4-pin connector, and some of the new boards and new processors require an 8-pin or two of the 4s. So I'm going to show you how to make these up into adapters so that we can use them and add a little length to the cables and be able to tap into the Molex line and run the different components. So we're just going to strip these down like we did in the first video, strip the wires, and then I'll show you what the different wires are and how we're going to wrap them up. Okay, the first one we're doing is the 6-pin PCI Express one. You'll notice on this one, of course, it's got 6 wires. This one happens to be white and black. More commonly, they're yellow and black. There is 3 of the whites and 3 of the blacks. Basically, the 3 whites are your 3 12 volts, and the 3 blacks are your 3 grounds. I like to separate them to make sure that we're, using the same power and ground for the right banks on the power supply, so we don't mix them. And the way we're going to hook this up to the Molex is we're just going to use the 12 volt connector, your yellow connector, and then we're going to use the 2 grounds. And we're going to basically hook 2 of the whites and then 1 black to each black here, to each ground. And on the second one, it'll just have a single white going to the yellow and then a single black going to the ground. The reason you do that is because a single Molex, or a single line basically on the power supply, is not going to have enough juice to run this video card. So you can't just simply run all 3 of the whites, to the 12 volt on this one. It is going to require that we use 2 connectors and tap into 2 of the lines on the power supply so that we can draw voltage from both of them, instead of trying to overload one of them and run the video card off of that connector. But basically we're just going to solder these and shrink wrap them like we did on the other cables, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, here's a little recap on this one before I tape it up and stuff, just to clarify what I meant about how you connect it. This one is using the 2 12 volt powers going to the 1 yellow lead on the Molex, and then the 2 black ones on this are just going to the 2 individual black connectors on the Molex for the 2 grounds. And now on the other one, we take the 3rd 12 volt wire, the white one, and hook into your yellow 12 volt, and then use the black one right next to it for its ground. We're not using the red ones or the 5 volts on these. These run strictly on 12 volt. But just to kind of give you a look at it before we tape it up, that way you won't be able to see what colors the connectors are and stuff. So I just want to take a quick shot of that. Now I'm going to finish this up. Okay, we got it all taped up. I also like to add a couple of zip strips to the cable. Keeps it all bundled tight together, looking good. Easier to snake through your case or for your cable management. But there's a very simple Molex to 6-pin PCI. So now we're going to go to work on the 4-pin connector. This one will be a little simpler. This one's only going to require 1 Molex connector to do it. We have the 2 yellows, 2 blacks, once again both 12 volts, and then the 2 grounds. So with this one, we'll just run both of the yellows to the yellow on the Molex to the 12 volt, and then we'll use the 2 blacks to connect our 2 ground connectors. So I'm going to strip these and solder them and get ready to hook them together. Okay, here's a recap on the 4-pin connector. The 2 yellow wires tapped into 1 yellow 12 volt on the Molex, and then the 2 blacks are tapped into the 2 black ground connectors on the Molex. So I'm going to tape this one up and put a zip tie on it. I know a few of you guys are out there thinking that, you know, the electrical tape on it really don't look that good. It's kind of ugly to add a clump of tape on it. I did have a problem one time with a short. That's why I go a little extra cautious on these. You are dealing with voltage from your power supply. Grounding out any metal in the case or touching against each other could cause a serious short in the system. I had one short out on me while I was hooking up switches on a case that I was working on. Not only did it blow out the power supply when it grounded, but it also blew my motherboard out. So it was a very expensive problem because of a little short or one little wire touching. So I put the tape on it, whether it looks ugly or not. I think you know, an ounce of tape is worth a pound of dead motherboard. So just in case you're wondering why I add the tape after the shrink wrap itself, I like to be extra cautious. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Well, here's a shot of the 4-pin after it's been wrapped up and zip tied. That's ready to plug in and use. Because this one does have the 2 12 volts, the 2 yellows on it, a person could split them off and do them on 2 Molexes like this one. Reason I don't is because it's really not necessary on this type of connector. This isn't going to draw big voltage. Most motherboards that have CPUs that are drawing that much power generally run an 8-pin connector or 2 of these 4s. So basically they're going to run this line and a second line anyway, which is going to give you your added voltage. So it's not really necessary to add the 2 Molexes to it. We won't be drawing that much off this line. So them 2 are done, and this is the Molex one that we had done yesterday. I'm going to try to do something a little bit different with that one. I really liked the way that the black PCI Express one came out yesterday, and so we're going to see what we can do with these other ones to make them look a little better than these ugly colors that are going to stand out. So let me see what I can do with them, and I'll be right back. Alright, well, we are finished with these wires. Put a little paint on them. This was our 6-pin PCI Express. We painted the Molexes black to match the cable to make that look a little more uniform, a little better. The 4-pin PCI Express, or not PCI Express, I'm sorry, your 4-pin CPU cable. This one I left white on the end of the motherboard because this is an internal connection. If you put paint on it, it's just going to scratch off when you plug in there anyway. So I decided to leave the Molex end white also, and then just paint the cable black to match the case better. Then this was the serial ATA one that we did yesterday. You guys had already seen that. Black ends, black cable. And the next one, from Ugly Duckling to probably my favorite, is our Molex extension. I decided I was going to use this one in my Antec build, and I wanted the color schemes to match with the colors I had in the case. So we went with red on the ends and black cable, and it certainly looks a lot better than the yellow, orange, black thing that it was before. Not only is it going to be functional, but added a little bit of class to the case. So anyway, that's it for this project. Some cool things you can do with some wires off an old power supply and some pass-throughs off some old fans you got laying around. You can use them to make some useful things that could be quite handy if you need some extensions or some extra cables to get a job done. But anyway, thanks for watching. Remember to comment and subscribe if you haven't already.